In the early 19th century, nestled within the rolling hills of Tennessee, there lay the small farmstead of the Bell family in what is now Adams, Tennessee. It was a humble plot of land where John Bell, a prosperous farmer, and his family lived a simple life, blissfully unaware that they would become the central figures in one of America's most enduring legends, the tale of the Bell Witch. The year was 1817 when the first signs of disturbance began. As John Bell tended to his crops, he encountered a strange creature in his fields, an unusual animal with the body of a dog but the head of a rabbit. Startled, he shot at it, but the creature vanished into thin air. This marked the beginning of a series of unsettling events that would plague the Bell family. Then his daughter Betsy saw what she called the hanging girl. She made out a pretty young girl in a green dress swinging by her neck from a branch on an oak tree on the property close to the house. She tried to communicate with the child but received no response. So she ran back to the house to get family members to come witness the sighting, but when they returned to the tree, the girl in the green dress was gone. But this was only the beginning of the strange events. Little did the family know the worst was yet to come. Soon after the sightings, things began to happen in the Bell's new home. Family members began hearing strange sounds, disembodied whispers, knocking and scratching on doors, windows, and from inside the walls. Also, they would even experience physical harm such as being hit, scratched, and even being choked and strangled. As the weeks passed, curious sounds began to echo throughout their home. At first it was subtle, a faint knocking on the walls, whispers that seemed to float through the air, and the rustling of leaves when no wind was present. The Bell children, particularly young Betsy, soon became the primary targets of this eerie presence. Betsy described being pinched, poked, and even slapped by an unseen force. The family members quickly realized that something malevolent had taken residence in their home. Just when the Bell family thought things couldn't get any worse, the physical abuse started. John and his wife Lucy were perplexed, but sought help. They reached out to neighbors and local spiritual leaders, hoping to uncover the source of the disturbances. As word spread, the Bell Witch captured the attention of the community. Some believed it to be a manifestation of witchcraft, while others pondered whether it was a spirit seeking vengeance. The family soon found themselves at the center of a sensational story that gripped the region. As the entity became more assertive, it began to communicate, reportedly using a strange voice that echoed through the halls, claiming to be a witch. The voice spoke of past grievances and hinted at an old feud with John Bell. It revealed that it was the spirit of Kate Batts, a local woman who had a long-standing dispute with John over a land deal gone wrong. The spirit claimed that she had cursed John, and now her wrath was visited upon the Bell family. The haunting escalated into full-blown terror. The witch would disrupt family gatherings, tormenting the Bells day and night. She would shout insults, sing hymns, and even mimic the voices of family members. Betsy, in particular, was tormented relentlessly. The entity would threaten her, and the emotional toll was immense. Many nights the family would huddle together in fear, unsure of what the next day would bring. Apart from her father, Betsy was subjected to the most torment. The spirit would prick her with invisible pins and cause great pain. It would also slap Betsy until her face was red and drag her around the room by her hair. This abuse happened repeatedly. Combs would fly out of Betsy's hands and hair. The family was afraid that the spirit would kill Betsy, and so sent her to friends' houses to spend the night. Many of these nights were spent at Thenny Thorne's house. The haint would follow her to the Thorne household. Another trick it would play on Betsy was to untie her shoelaces and throw the shoes across the room. One night, Thenny chided the entity for its actions. The spirit responded with crude, loud laughter. An itinerant witch doctor gave Betsy a potion that would cure her from her affliction. Instead, Betsy vomited pins as the spirit laughed. Perhaps the cruelest thing the spirit did to Betsy concerned her affection for Joshua Gardner. The Gardners were neighbors of the Bells, and Betsy and Joshua were sweethearts. When the spirit found this out, it started chanting, "Please, Betsy, please don't marry Joshua Gardner." This incantation went on for months, and out of fear, Betsy ended her relationship with Joshua. Luckily for Lucy Bell, the witch didn't seem to share the same hatred it had for her sister Betsy. When Lucy complained to the entity about its treatment of her family, it would reply that although it hurt her family, it would never hurt her. When Lucy fell ill with pleurisy, an illness that made her bedridden and could have killed her, the spirit talked to her in a soft, kind voice and brought her grapes even though they were out of season. It knew that Lucy loved to eat grapes. It would also drop grapes onto the bed when Lucy had company. The haint also knew that Lucy liked hazelnuts. It would drop nuts from the ceiling onto Lucy's bed. Lucy said that she could not eat the nuts because she could not crack them open. Immediately, cracked nuts fell on the bed. The entity did not pay much attention to Joel and Richard Williams neither. It only tormented them on occasion. It repeatedly pulled the covers off them, especially on cold nights and usually with a cackle. On one night, they were alone in their bedroom when the spirit again pulled the covers off them. Joel lost his temper and spoke harshly to it. The spirit spit on him, causing Richard Williams to utter angry words. Joel had to watch helplessly while the evil entity spanked his brother. And when it came to John Jr., the spirit often had deep intellectual conversations. He often called the haint the spirit of the damned. Even so, the spirit did not harm him. Instead, it would give him good advice, which he usually ignored. After a while, the spirit would take a break from hurting the Bell family and would have conversations with them. On one occasion, John Jr. was discussing a trip by horseback he was going to take to North Carolina to settle some family business. The spirit broke the conversation and told John Jr. that it would be a wasted trip as the matter had already been settled. She also advised him that a rich woman was on her way to Robertson County to visit friends. Because both were unmarried, they could meet and would make a good couple. He went anyway. The trip was wasted, and he might well have missed the love of his life. Maybe he should have listened. The spirit never gave a clear explanation for why she haunted the family, but it became clear that it hated John Bell and Betsy. The torture began in 1817 and continued until his death in 1820. As the notoriety of the Bell Witch grew, so too did the number of visitors to the Bell home. People from all over flocked to witness the haunting firsthand. Some hoped to debunk the legend, while others sought to experience the supernatural phenomenon. Reports of strange occurrences and inexplicable events only fueled the intrigue. The Bell Witch seemed to torment and torture John Bell Sr. the worst. As early as 1817, John Bell Sr. was abused both verbally and physically. The spirit regularly called him Old John Bell and menaced him with profanity, curses, and threats. Soon after the haunting began, he started to have trouble speaking, eating, and swallowing. He said it felt like he had a stick of wood lodged between both cheeks in his mouth. This agony would plague him until his death. The spirit often threatened John Bell Sr. When asked why, the spirit would answer, "Because he deserves killing." No further explanation was ever given besides that. In 1820, the disturbances reached their peak. John Bell's health began to deteriorate under the strain of the ongoing torment. He suffered from mysterious ailments that no doctor could diagnose, and the witch's voice seemed to revel in his suffering. One fateful night, after a particularly harrowing day, John Bell fell into a deep sleep and never awoke. The family was devastated, believing the Bell Witch had played a significant role in his demise. With John's death, the haunting began to wane. Betsy, now a young woman, decided to break off her engagement to a local boy, claiming that the witch threatened their happiness. The Bell Witch seemed to lose interest, and by the mid-1820s, the disturbances largely ceased. However, the legend of the Bell Witch lived on, passed down through generations. Years later, the Bell family moved away, but the stories remained. The site of the Bell home became a local landmark, attracting ghost hunters, historians, and curious tourists. People would share tales of eerie encounters, and the legend of the Bell Witch became woven into the fabric of American folklore. Today, the tale of the Bell Witch serves as a reminder of the unknown, a story of fear and fascination that continues to captivate those who hear it. The spirit of Kate Batts, whether she was a wronged woman or a figment of collective imagination, lingers on in the whispers of the wind, the rustling of leaves, and the stories told around campfires. The Bell Witch remains a testament to the power of belief, the mysteries of the supernatural, and the deep-rooted fears that can haunt a family, a community, and a nation.